Hi, I'm Danielle Hartman. Welcome to Poured in PA, a series sharing the stories of Pennsylvania's craft beer industry. In this episode, we uncover a brewery tucked away at a family-owned resort in Pennsylvania's Pocono Mountains. The Shawnee Inn may be reminiscent of Dirty Dancing era getaways, but they changed the game by adding their own craft brewery to the landscape.
This is a place to escape and to be fully immersed in now. We are a place where you want to sit on our beautiful wraparound porch and watch the sunrise and watch the mist come off of the Delaware River, taking a little moment to enjoy and to sort of turn the rest of it off. We live in the Pocono Mountains. This is a family-owned and operated inn, resort, ski mountain, brewery. We are in this beautiful village of Shawnee, historic resort town, a getaway place, a great place for visitors. We're only 70 miles from Manhattan, just under 2 hours from Philadelphia. One of the things that we want to do here on our property is provide a number of different amenities, a number of different experiences for guests that are coming and that want to be in a rural area, but also want to be able to do a bunch of different things and walk to those different things, which is very, very hard in a rural community. You almost always need to have your car to be able to go somewhere, but it is a great place to experience nature, be it skiing in the winter, be it golf in the summer. There's great canoeing, great fishing. There's incredible hiking. We have a really fun experience called glamping. So glamping is glamorous camping, and it is just that. It is a camping experience for those that don't really want to get too dirty and don't really want to get too much into it. You arrive at your glamping site by a canoe coming down the river and have a wonderful outdoor experience for some of those people that might not be able or willing to be able to go full on and set up their own tent. So with that, we like to bring people here that can have that immersive experience. I met my wife on a dance floor in Liberia at 2 a.m, and that is what brought me here. My wife is born and raised, this is her community. My father-in-law was pretty successful as a young man and ended up traveling to Asia. He was living in Bangkok, running a law firm there, but he had these incredible fond memories of being here at the Shawnee Inn and Golf Resort as a caddy, and this was one of the most beautiful places he had ever been in his life and all of his travels. And when he heard in 1977 that the Shawnee Inn and Golf Resort was for sale, he bought it sight unseen and moved his relatively large family here to the area to make this a home base. It's a real home for us, and it is our home, and we see the brewery as a way to welcome people to our home.
The brewery was started by Peter Kirkwood. This originally was an ice skating rink. When I first started here, I started cleaning kegs and the outside of tanks. This entire building was just walled off, one here, one there. We had like separate chemical rooms, separate everything. Since then, it's all been just completely renovated. We have a big open space that we can work with. Every single tank is in a different space than it was at one point. We've had people come and go, obviously. The beers have changed completely. I would say over the course of the last 10 years, this has just been a complete work in progress, and now we're starting to really hit our flow.
We produce about 1,000 barrels a year on a 10-barrel system. With 1,000 barrels, we're able to sell almost all of that ourselves on site and actually don't have to go a distribution route. We actually were at one time distributing in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh, but our local growth, our local need as our tap room expanded, as our beer sales on site expanded, we have actually had to pull back all of our further distribution and sell all of our beer on site. And we actually really love that.
The philosophy here is true to nature, true to the craft, meaning that we try to use local ingredients when possible. We try to employ local people. And true to the craft really means that we just take traditions that have been around in beer making for as long as beer making has been around. And we try to build on them, and we always try to pay homage to the people that came before us.
We believe in the craft. We believe in eating what we sow, in drinking what we brew. So it is about employing locally. It is about serving locally. It's really about our local community.
We obviously want to share the property with everybody. We have a beautiful, expansive landscape here. There's mountains, there's rivers, and we have amazing beer. So I think a lot of the people from the city, they don't really get to see that too much. We see smiles all the time of people coming down here like, wow, you guys get to live like this? This is amazing. There's woods outside, there's fresh beer. This guy's really cool on guitar. Our area is just known for having really cool local talent. We have carpenters, we have a ton of musicians. The brewery fits perfectly in that, where everybody that works here kind of has their own little quirks, and everybody's just such an individual.
So the water is a big component to beer, and we actually own an aquifer that comes right from the Delaware, and there's a lot of minerals in this particular water, which is great for our beer, not so great for the pipes. People love our tap water.
Our logo looks like a peace sign, it looks like a cross, it looks like Blair Witch Project. The truth behind it is, in fact, that it is really the mixture of the Chinese symbols for water and wood. When Pete was starting the brewery, he had a real concern about talking about how our logo was Chinese symbols, because what the hell does Chinese, symbols, Chinese culture have to do with craft beer? This is an American craft culture, but it really gets into the family history. There's a long history of time in Asia. My wife and I have spent 3 years living in Thailand as well. And actually, when you go around the inn and the property, you actually see pieces of Asia around, which is in some ways a little bit odd, unless you realize our family has this history that is greater than this area as well, that brings in elements of the world. We are a unique setting in that we're not on a downtown strip. We're also not entirely remote. We are on the same property as the Shawnee Inn and golf resort. That poses both challenges and opportunities. Challenges in that people that might typically be walking down a main strip looking for bars, looking for craft beer specifically, aren't going to find us there. They actually have to come and hunt us down and find us. The opportunities are that we also have a number of people that are coming here to visit the Shawnee Inn and all of its various amenities, and they get the benefit of also experiencing a craft brewery on site.
We try to keep up to date with all the new styles, so you'll see a Kolsch on draft right next to a barrel-aged sour, right next to Saisons, and then you'll see a hazy IPA up there too, just because we know that everybody likes a lot of different things, and we try to make sure that we're well-rounded brewers here and we can make everything. The flagship beers are the ones that honestly we like to drink the most of. They're very easy, everything's sessionable, where you want to sit down, you want a couple pints with friends, you don't want to have one and then have to go home. It's so high in alcohol, or it's just so strongly flavored. We have a lot of golfers, obviously being on a golf resort, so Kolsch always does well. Again, people can start drinking at 11 in the afternoon. I've done it a bunch of times. It's wonderful. We definitely pay attention to everything going on in the industry. We take a little bit of a different spin on it than most of the other breweries, where I feel like if you see a style coming out that's just absolutely ridiculous with 12 different ingredients and a ton of milk sugar, everybody kind of jumps onto that. We have ingredients that we stay away from. Like we don't really use a ton of lactose. We like to do everything a little bit more true to traditional beer making. So even if we do see something that has a really cool idea to it, like a brewed IPA, a very dry IPA, that sounds like our kind of style. So we're gonna take that one, we're gonna knock it out of the park. Whereas if we see a crazy New England Northeast IPA with 20 different fruit juices in it and it's 30% sugar, we're gonna go, okay, well, we really like hoppy beers and hazy looks cool, so we're gonna mitigate all the other stuff. We're gonna take all that out and we're gonna throw our own little spin and we're gonna make it a cool, dry, hoppy, delicious beer that we like to enjoy, and we can drink a bunch of them.
When you come into our tap room and the brewery, you're obviously going to see some of the trendy things that you see at all the craft breweries across the country. And then we do one of the things that I really love, our Stranger Brews. So Stranger Brews is the idea that you can pay it forward by buying a beer for a stranger. Maybe you're a guest and you're visiting from North Carolina and you say, you know what, I want to buy a beer for the next Tar Heel that walks in the door. So you're going to buy a beer, put it on a little piece of paper, put it on our wall, and the next Tar Heel that walks in can pull that off the wall and redeem it for a beer. One of my favorite Stranger Brews that is on there right now is a woman came in with a child with autism. And actually she and I got to talking because my son actually has autism, my middle child. And we were talking a lot about it, and she saw the Stranger Brews and she said, you know what, I'm gonna buy a Stranger Brew for the next strong parent of an incredible child that has special needs. And for her, that made her feel good, that made me feel good, that made the next person that walks in with a child with special needs feel good. But in that moment, we were all selling a sense of well-being. We were selling a sense of community that is really at the backbone of what we're doing. And it's great that someone can then redeem it for a delicious, hazy IPA.
Some of the goals of the future, we definitely want to increase production. We're doing that really just to get more beer out there in our local vicinity. Like, we're not really trying to move into Florida and California, right? We want everybody to know who Shawnee Craft is. We want everybody local to come hang out. The tap room is a wonderful place and it's starting to gain a lot of momentum. So I'd say the biggest goal is just getting people here to come see what we're up to.
Given that our goal is that real local experience, it is about a place and a time, it is about experiencing Shawnee. So we want to do that, we want to do it right, we want to do it really well, and we want to be known as a brewery that makes really delicious beer, and we want people to come from all over to taste our beer and experience the setting.
Enjoying a beer on a sunny afternoon with family is one of life's little luxuries. But what about when your family includes a dog? We visited a number of breweries across the state that are making our favorite four-legged friends just as welcome as their owners.
I think that beer drinkers and dog ownership, it kind of goes together.
We get a lot of calls every week about, can we bring our dogs, I think it's just, it's a comfort thing. I think, with the beer in your hand and your dog next to you, how much more comfortable can it get?
Dog lovers, they also enjoy craft beer and they like spending time outdoors, and they want to have a place where they don't have to, leave their furry friend at home, where they want to come out and have a beer.
We wanted people to come in and enjoy and not have to not go grab a beer because you got to go home and take care of the dog and you're not allowed to bring the dog. So we always wanted that to be not a cornerstone of our business model, but definitely a shining part where it, it kind of separates you from the rest of the pack. No pun intended.
This is First Friday, so we wanted to just have a monthly gathering of people bringing their dogs. So we added a little pop-out alongside the dog patio to make the space a little bit bigger to accommodate all of our four-legged friends here. Conveniently, there was already a window which opens to the area behind the bar so that people can just walk up and ring the bell. The bartender can come over and get you anything off of our menu, including our dog-friendly menu.
We're at Barks and Brews at the Riverbend Hop Farm and Brewery. It's a fundraiser for the Perry County Animal Rescue. We're a nonprofit no-kill shelter, putting on the event just to raise money for the rescue.
This is our second time being here. It is Pops and Brews. So it's just kind of a chance to get out with the public and get the dogs who are at the shelter out and, socializing. This is Gatsby. He is a 4-year-old dachshund. I think that they said he's a mix. He is very lovable, very so like a dachshund though. He has to go up and say hello to everybody. I think that shelter dogs get a bad rap because people think that there's something wrong with them, but they're not monsters that were just dropped off at the shelter. They're just like every other dog who needs a home.
My husband and I had breakfast here one morning and started talking to the owner. He adopted a dog from us, and it kind of just rolled from there. Never expected it to be this big.
We always wanted to be good stewards to the community. We kind of went into this community with, we're not from here, so the idea was to be able to work with organizations here that didn't have a place or a platform to be able to do events like this, and it became really good for business and good for the local nonprofit groups. They really seem to flourish with it.
After seeing the turnout, I imagine that this will be something we do every year now. So we look forward to Barks and Brews 2020.
When we decided to do the First Friday series, we knew we wanted to not just hang out and drink beer with dogs, but also try to do something good. The SPCA Lancaster Center is right down the street from us, and of course, they always need more money, so we figured we would donate $1 for every pint of beer consumed during our event, and they also get to showcase some of their adoptable pets. So they're always bringing several dogs that people usually fall in love with and get adopted right away.
It's had so far a really, really good outcome. This last time we brought 3, and they all got adopted right after the event. And so actually one of ours is probably going to be adopted today, and that is our little puppy Frankie.
Oh, so cute.
Whenever we started Grist House, our dogs were here all the time. I have a golden retriever. Brian has, I'll call it a dog named Ruckus. And he is a ruckus, and he's an awesome dog, but he's a mixed breed. And so they were always here when we were building this place, and we couldn't imagine really doing anything without them.
We've always been dog friendly here. Out in our outdoor space, whenever you come, you can always see lots of well-behaved dogs, and it brings a great crowd. We enjoy having a space for that.
Beer, dogs, that makes me happy. I come home after a long day of work. The first thing I want to do is see my dogs and have an ice cold beer.
People love hanging out, drinking beer, and a lot of those same people like to have dogs. So we just want to, cater to that community.
Beer goes with everything. So, dogs are awesome, beer's awesome. Why not mix them together and make something super awesome?
Of course, dogs aren't the only ones having fun at breweries. Next, we visit 2 breweries where they're involving the whole family, kids included. These locations have created kid-specific events for learning and fun.
We are Mount Gretna Craft Brewery, located on 322 right outside of Palmyra, Pennsylvania. From our founding, we always wanted to be part of the local community, the fabric of the community. So our tagline, we like to say we are a neighborhood gathering place. We don't want to just be for a beer crowd. We want to have something that is involved with the community at large. So in the morning times, we'll have programs for kids here at the brewery. Our coffee shop will host something for an art class. We're having STEM classes today. There's always something going on here.
My husband and I own a business called Go Steam, and it's a STEAM education business that we began in 2015. And we teach STEAM education classes and workshops to kids from the ages of about 3 to 12. Our most popular classes would be the class that we just held, which was Harry Potter slime class. We also have a unicorn class, a mermaid workshop, a narwhal workshop. We've discovered that when we have STEAM classes and we just simply title them STEAM, or we might call them coding or robots, that we don't get as many participants. But when we kind of reach out with those words like unicorn and mermaid, that it really appeals to a lot of kids. Slime has been a big hit, and really anything that's related to art has been really popular.
We have something that the kids can be occupied and have a fun time at while the parents are enjoying their time at the brewery with family or friends doing what they would like to do. I just feel it's just a way for us to really ingrain ourselves in the community and provide something that they don't really have. They don't get someplace else.
Oh, by the way, you might get sticky and messy. It's okay.
When we built the place, we knew we had the space for an event room, which we always wanted to have. And it was a natural fit then to use that event space for more than just, hey, you want to have a private event, birthday party, or something along those lines. It can be used for these other activities too. The space is just a perfect size for having, kid activity groups or family activity groups in there. So it really lent itself really well for us.
I knew that Mount Gretna Craft Brewery, they did a lot of community events, and that was sort of what appealed to us. Like we knew there was already, community connections, they were already holding events, so I reached out, was like, hey, this is what I do, and the mornings are great, early afternoons, because it brings people in here, maybe more customers than what they would normally have.
Some people are a little skeptical at first, say, well, this is a brewery. Why would you do things for kids? But then when they see just how it works and the community involvement and how the community has really accepted this, it goes over very, very well.
At first it's like, I'm taking my kid to a brewery for a workshop, a summer workshop, and that seems a little strange. So this summer on Facebook, we really made an effort to take photos of what it looks like here so that people who've never been here can see, this is where our class is. And they have this great room and they're so welcoming, and they also have the coffee bar, which is awesome. So parents could see I'm not just taking my kid to a brewery for a class. So, I love it. I've reached out to other local breweries to see if that's something that we can do. It hasn't been any issues. Kids don't even really realize, that they're at a brewery, but again, it's great for the adults. Don't steal all the shaving cream from your parents. Just make sure you ask first.
We're trying to really incorporate this and be that living room for our community. The neighborhood gathering place is what we're trying to be, and it's really taken hold very well, and people really appreciate that aspect of what we offer.
What's your name, honey? Brody, and what's your favorite food? Nice, I like waffles. Do you like them with cinnamon sugar or syrup?
Bube's Brewery is a brewery from the 1800s, and in the 1800s there were hundreds of little breweries like this one. They were all over the country. The 1860s, 70s, and 80s is when there was kind of an explosion of German lager breweries opening up all over the country. The Northeast, of course, had more than anywhere. And Bube's is just a typical little one of those. We are in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania, one of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania's many little farm towns from the old days, 8 miles west of Lancaster and a little over 20 miles east of Harrisburg. We'd like to be a family-friendly brewery for many reasons. Obviously, kids can't drink the beer. Mom and Dad can. But the kids can learn the history, see the cellars, learn about times before electricity, when they only had oil lamps, times before automobiles when they only had horses and wagons to deliver their beer, times before refrigeration when they needed to use underground cellars to cool and age their beer. I think it's great for kids to see this place. The history of it goes into all sorts of directions.
When I first came on, it seemed like a market that was kind of lacking, and we just have such space to do whatever we want, especially the outside space. Where I'm from in North Carolina, the breweries, they love the kids. They're all over the place. So I just felt that the family atmosphere is just a super positive one, and that's kind of the vibe we want to put out here.
Here in our beer garden, we've always had a fire pit, and some of our staff here came up with a idea to do a campfire ghost stories and s'mores and, a kid night where they could have a lot of fun with that whole idea.
The spirit that most often haunted the Enchanted Valley was a man riding on his horse, but the man didn't have a head. People loved him.
We have a haunted past here, and we were talking about how can we get the kids to want to come. I mean, we can feed them for free and the parents are going to want to bring them, but how do we get them to want to come? So we said ghost stories. Let's just light up a campfire and tell ghost stories.
Because we have such unique space and a theatrical troupe here, we've gotten into doing a lot of different events, many of which I would call kid-friendly. The feasts and the theatrical banquets in the catacombs, the murder mystery dinners, and the escape room that we have here, all kind of fun events to do like that.
Our brewer, his name is Mitch, and he is amazing to work with. Every event, he's willing to do a small batch release, and it's themed with the event. Tonight is we're gonna have a s'mores smoked porter.
I brewed a smoked porter for just the summer in general, and then for this event, I took that base beer and added chocolate, vanilla, and lactose to make a s'more smoked porter. It's already going for like the campfire theme with the smoked porter to begin with. And then that just kind of puts it over the top, so it's really, tastes like you're at a campfire. And we actually have one going on in the beer garden tonight, so it should work out pretty well.
Well, we have a nice big beer garden. This used to be the brewery yard where the horses and wagons would be staged and hooked up and deliveries would depart from here. Well, now it's a great place for kids to play cornhole, or chess. We're always working on something new.
Next, we shift gears to whiskey. That's right, we talked to Evil Genius Beer Company and Jameson Irish Whiskey about their collaboration as part of the Jameson Castmates series.
I'd had a pretty shitty day, to be honest. My phone broke. I'd just come back from the Apple store, so I just kind of got everything set back up, and I opened the email, and I was like, all right, the end of this day is turning around a little bit. I'm from Dublin myself, and so this is almost like a lifelong dream that I didn't know I had, to be involved in something like this. So they reached out and said they were looking for a partner in Pennsylvania to barrel age some beer in some Jameson barrels, and of course we said yes.
American White Oak is very sweet. It's got a lot of vanilla, caramel, and later I'm going to get you up to smell that sweetness. Okay? And then I get out the lid.
The story of what Jameson Castmates is, it's a story that stretches back to our local bar down in Cork where Jameson is made, and a conversation that happened over a whiskey and a beer. It's a local partnership to our local craft brewery, and we gave them Jameson barrels a while back to barrel age a stout, and I guess by chance, by coincidence, we wanted to see what would happen if we put whiskey back into those beer season barrels when that process was finished. It went down like a house on fire. I guess for Jameson whiskey, most of the time the test market is Ireland. So in Ireland, when you release a new Irish whiskey that's been aged in stout barrels, and craft stout barrels at that, it was a pretty exciting prospect, but now it's in the US, which is our biggest market for Jameson, and all over the world as well. We have this program around Jameson Castmates called Drinking Buddies. And with our Drinking Buddies program, we pick craft breweries around the United States, and we try and recreate the story of what Jameson Castmates is. So, for example, with Evil Genius, we're giving them Jameson barrels so they can barrel age a beer, and we can recreate that story of how Jameson Castmates is a product that stems from a craft brewery relationship.
We've been wanting to do this for years, which is use our chocolate peanut butter porter, which is called Purple Monkey Dishwasher. We've been talking about wanting to barrel age that one for a really long time, and so that's the one we picked. As soon as we knew we were going to be doing this, we decided that had to be the one we used. I have lots of expectations, which I'm sure will be completely wrong because, as I said, we've never done this before with that beer. It'll be pretty interesting to see how the Jameson attributes kind of meld in there with the chocolate, peanut butter, and just the base porter that it is as well.
We know already from the sort of flavor profile that a porter brings what to expect, and they have it on tap pretty much year round at the lab. But with the Jameson barrel, you can look for maybe a little more vanilla notes, maybe some toasted oak, a little bit of sweetness coming through as well. Jameson's known to be a very well balanced product, but those key sort of taste components tend to come through when we barrel age beers with Jameson barrels.
And you're crystallizing all the vanillas, caramels, you're opening up the pores of the wood so the wine, whiskey, beer can penetrate and start extracting. There's about 250 different elements in oak that will contribute to taste.
We're the only Pennsylvania brewery. Jameson has a partnership with a variety of different breweries around the country, not every state. I think about 20-something different states they're in now with a different brewery partner. And so the Great American Beer Festival in Denver, they actually have a whole pavilion beer garden where all of the different caskmate partners are going to be there serving versions of their barrel-aged beer.
When we released the first Jameson Caskmates, which was the stout edition, we found about 95% of people that were drinking it were craft beer drinkers. So you look at our next one, which is our IPA edition, we're really trying to meet the needs of our new consumer for Jameson, which is that craft beer drinker. Of course, Jameson as a whiskey has always been accompanied by a beer for the most part in bars, but with Jameson Caskmates we have something tailored to those craft beer drinkers that really care about their beer, really care about their product, and really care about supporting the local guy.
In Philadelphia especially, a Citywide is a beer. It's usually actually a cheap beer matched with a really cheap or well whiskey as a shot or chaser, which is not known as that outside of Philadelphia. A lot of other places it's called a Boilermaker, or I've heard that in other parts of the country it's called a Philadelphia. It's one of these things that is very intrinsic to the Philadelphia area. So we're doing a, I guess, posh version of a Citywide in the sense that it is a really good beer and a really amazing whiskey. And so you're going to see that in a number of different bars around the Philadelphia area.
It proves to be quite successful when you release Jameson barrel-aged beer and you serve it up, as you say, with Citywides, including our Jameson Caskmates product. There are markets that are calling out for it. We get requests all the time about when applications will be reopening again and when people can potentially get involved. But yeah, crystal ball-wise, I'd like to see one in every state. For Jameson, it's always been about, love thy neighborhood, sort of partnering up with the smaller guy. And of course, there are some huge breweries out of PA, a huge beer drinking state as well. But to make the relevance for Jameson Caskmates and recreate that local neighborhood story, partnering with Evil Genius and Fishtown, getting right in there in the neighborhood with the craft beer scene, with the craft beer drinkers to introduce them to what is essentially a craft beer whiskey. We're pretty selective with getting the right fit, and I guess for us, a lot of our employees are familiar with Evil Genius. We would patron here quite a lot as well. I feel like Evil Genius fit the Jameson brand. Not only do they make great beer, but you look at Jameson as a brand, and we're a large brand with a small brand mindset, and the sort of whimsical nature of, look at the beer names of Evil Genius, for example. Like, very salt of the earth, and it just seemed like a perfect fit in terms of personality and product quality as well. Trevor being from Ireland and me being from Ireland has absolutely no correlation with this program. A very happy coincidence, and I think I can speak on behalf of myself and Trevor and a lot of Irish people when I say we love whiskey, we love beer. Bringing the two together it's a dream combination,
Thanks for joining us. Before we go, we take you to Western Pennsylvania, where the phrase "one man's trash is another man's treasure" comes to life at Rusty Gold Brewing. Until next time, cheers.
Rusty Gold is more or less an antiques term. It came from the days when I would buy and sell antiques. It's sort of like a shortened version of one man's trash is another man's treasure. Originally, this was a bakery in the Star Market back in like the 20s all the way to the 70s. It was a pool hall. It was a diner. We came in, gutted it, and just tried to keep a lot of the nuances and the ambiance of what this building originally was. I wanted to integrate a lot of the antiques that I already had. When I started it, people would come in and ask, "Hey, I have an old picture or an old piece of equipment. Can I bring it in? Will you put it on display? I said, sure, why not? So it's sort of grown where like the community has gotten involved with some of the decor and some of the items that you'll see up on the walls or floating around on shelves. It sort of helped us become embraced by the community of Canonsburg even that much more. We're still in very much a rural area here in Washington County. There's a lot of people that have heard of craft beer, but they might think that craft beer and IPA are synonymous, that they're coming in looking for IPAs and then get pleasantly surprised that we have a nice variety of beers. We have 8 beers on at any time. We go light to dark, cream ale being the staple beer here. Pike Street Amber is another that we brew pretty much all the time, has become, like a favorite. And then we rotate a series of IPAs, stouts, porters, and then we throw in one-offs that are seasonal. We try to keep a nice variety. That way anybody who comes in can find something that they enjoy. We knew, being a little off the beaten path from the city, that offering a food menu would help to bring more people in, because there wasn't as many food trucks or other food options right here in Canonsburg. So we developed a menu that I wanted to sort of take food that people recognize, but then elevate it or take it to the next level. And working with Chef, we really came up with a great menu that people seem to really love. And we knew that if we were going to be elevating the beer in the area, we had to elevate the food a little bit as well. The Burger Challenge sort of spawned out of this idea. Both me and Chef sat down and talked about how all these challenges were really popular, but there's not a lot of places here that were doing it. So we said, hey, let's just come up with one. So we came up with the Burger Challenge, which is 6 patty, a lot of bacon, a lot of cheese. It's about a 3-pound burger in total. We added a pound of fries, make it a little bit more difficult, but then we upped the ante to a $500 pop for those that think they could best the beast. So we added that, as well as the wing challenge, which is just super hot wings. You got to eat them, and then you got a burn period where you get to suffer for 5 minutes, and then if you manage that, you get it for free. You get the T-shirt, and you get bragging rights to all your friends. We try to do a lot of different style events here. We actually do a ghost hunt every year in October. So I have a buddy who writes books about Western Pennsylvania lore and legends. So he comes and does a reading, and then we actually do a paranormal investigation at one of the supposedly haunted buildings here in Canonsburg. So that's become a fall favorite that people look forward to. We try to mix it up and come up with some different events to give people something to do, because away from the city, there's not like a lot of unique venues or a lot of interesting things for families or young people or couples or to do. So we try to fill in that gap here outside of the city. We try to pair a lot with local companies. I mean, obviously we're a small, family-owned local business, and we look for as many opportunities as we can to work with a lot of the other local businesses. The only way small businesses can survive is working together with one another, especially here in Washington County as we grow the scene as a whole. Honestly, I was a little worried, because you never know the quality of someone's product just because they're down the street from you. But I've been overwhelmingly surprised as to just how amazing some of the local businesses are with the products that they produce. Emerald Valley literally makes some of the best cheeses that I probably ever had, and I'm lactose intolerant, so I usually avoid cheese, but theirs is too good to pass up. And Liberty Pulse Spirits down in Washington makes some of the best bourbon that I ever had. So it's nice that we can pair together, and their products are really just that amazing. And I think we sort of get passed by because we're not in the city, but there's honestly a lot of really good places that people need to be checking out here in Washington County for sure.